joins David Croft, 150 turns in behind. Here we go.
First time since Austria last season, that qualifying lap from Verstappen yesterday in this calendar. 53 laps to go of 8 and a top speed of 100 for Lando Norris or Max Verstappen. It's a lot of graining so far this weekend. The Alpine ahead of the back. He's got Gabriel Bortoletto. Carlos Sainz qualified 3 places higher. Replaced Liam Lawson at Red Bull, starts alongside him in 11th. Ollie Behrman since 2017. And then Ellie starts 6th alongside his teammate George, 4th alongside Oscar Piastri. Grand Prix in a 12th time overall. When
has lost track time. He didn't take part in FP1. He had the big crash at the start of FP2, so he first raced around this configuration in 2001. So Stroll is on the back foot, then it's the Racing Bulls. Isaac Hadjar was 3rd in practice yesterday. At the moment, to 9th position for Pierre Gasly.
He's picking it up in the middle part.
Hulkenberg across the line, great lap from Hulkenberg.
Early safety car, for instance, and or a red flag in each of them. Done well, and it could get a bit exciting.
With a humid track, the grass won't
fires. It does look a bit breaks to the track. There are a few down, a lot more.
Yeah, it doesn't stick into, it won't make a big difference. They have a lot of downforce, and that's not what they were ready for.
What?
You have to be in that first corner. It'll be my teammate in front.
To the left, try and grid.
And also, remember, turn one into
starts at Suzuka, first time.
Oh, yeah, because there's one that, I got car, and so that will be interesting to see.
The man that he's replaced.
Yeah, because...
pointing to the right, Lando Norris, a bit of fire in there, but it was definitely smoothable object. Max Verstappen, Puka, where it slots into 3rd, ahead of Charles Leclerc, and then round the outside, there is Oscar Piastri, the top 3 all getting...
Very good start from Norris from him, but he won't be able to do his
for a Suzuka start, hairpin, Fernando Alonso chasing after Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari, can carry that speed down the straight, very much full of Pierre Gasly.
He did, because it's a long straight line.
And he is still behind as they go, is now enabled on this lap, and he's behind his teammate Lando Norris, as all keeping in formation.
Not too much wind, it's cool, the air.
Temperature in the air, will that affect tyre graining as
proper practice Friday afternoon.
Grazed as he slots into 6th Grand Prix winner after.
It's not good for the engine, not good for the
lead here for Yuki Tsunoda and time being. Gabriel Bortoletto has dropped cars sliding through that chicane. Threat from Lando Norris down the straight on this lap.
Then you'll be too close in the S's, and that's what
George Russell's facing at the moment in straightaway.
He did into that turn 1.
Fernando Alonso briefly getting ahead now as for comfort, and you can almost hear
they don't want to be overtaken, but the tires are not.
And quickly passed by Esther. Yeah, as through Alonso battle. Close to they get there.
Yeah, but what you don't ahead?
Not enough. He's got DRS. One in his battle happened at the hairpin.
Very good move.
Like yourself, former Sauber driver.
It's a difficult place to overtake.
Problem is with the gear shifts, they think Kravitz down to you. That was into turn 1, making the move, and I marvelled over many Lewis Hamilton overtakes.
And he can learn a lot from which means there's more potential to see had enough speed to then overtake him.
You know how consecutive races here at Suzuka. Advantage he's got by leading a clean air in front of him.
This is not as much, but there with the combination.
What would you do if you're Oscar Piastri here to about 0.6 of a second, overheating the tyres and making the Norris at the moment, and not just because of the DRS?
Piastri is obliged to put the
Leclerc not overly far behind Oscar of Charles Leclerc. We can ride on the scratch. He's doing some Ferrari at a little of graining, and drivers on the hard end, and see if you can more than a good enough team back at McLaren in the field.
I think the worry was up to take a risk. It's a tyre that, even though so, they probably judged that they would be at full pace.
Yeah, but on your out lap, you can bang in a quick undercut work. So if Lando is
have a little bit better tyres late for him, there's also the battle against Piastri in his mind.
To Pierre Gasly, Liam Lawson, Carlos Sainz, who's getting an all 3-place grid penalty for him in this race.
Lap 20 plus 1.
Even if the rain does come. No. That's a bit, and make it really tricky through it. And that is often the way. Spoon corner, you do Liam Lawson once again. George Russell isn't. George Russell turn 3, and then that Ferrari ahead of him though.
Already a stop on the soft tires.
About 10 laps.
To go to the not a good sign for the longer, tighter exit and get on the gas better.
Is George Russell. It's Holland and Italy in 2000.
Okay.
Okay. Not just Max Verstappen, because he feels that he's been sending the message. A helicam. Haven't had a helicam. Charles Leclerc through that S's seems to have threats to Max Verstappen, but in the first sector.
Play this yo-yo game. They're set up. Everything needs to be perfect.
Sky race control. I'm just Piastri, and Piastri saying that his
limitation for all of these drivers.
The P2. It doesn't look like the pit crew. Most people back in the UK are on the surface.
Who suddenly have cleansed their...
Again, Piastri continues. George Russell is down the straight. Comes into turn one. That is the battle at the moment. Look, Ireland, if you're waking up in the last few clear of making a move, you can cover away from Red Bull. You might be doing your 50 position right now, and it's because the team tell you, or do you think, hang on,
that you won't even get a chance at winning?
Lap 14 of 50, and if they can just hunt out a few of the
it's not big enough. Now Leclerc has lost pace a little bit.
George Russell has just dropped. He made about 2.5 seconds when they last time. Lewis Hamilton, sorry, the interesting one, track position as a result of that at the moment, which given out to Lance Stroll, who is the only driver
picking up any time with his hard tires of the field right now.
Does that suggest
just lack of pace at this point with one big bus line?
And the only one with a world title.
It's good to have those rights, yeah.
Suzuka wants to get some overtaking done on Pierre Gasly in front. His way into his pit box now.
That's not so bad. One thing we didn't at the start of the race, not a difference at the end, but
drive through, punch a hole in the clean.
And the high downforce means he has to.
No, it's this means by those in the mission. One of the closest battles is this one. Junior career, and also has a little lockup going into the closer that particular moment.
Yep. The engine braking or battery.
If you're and the interactive button on your this moment now, try and be in with a chance of an underweight who has finished in the position because it's the first one in China. Now Tsunoda down between himself and Pierre.
Long stretch. He never gets close enough.
Go down the main straight, trying to protect his tyres.
But you and Oscar are similar.
Time or braking too late, going too wide.
Until the car slowed down enough.
He was braking. Right, McLaren garage as yet.
It might mean do the opposite.
Just told to stay out. So Carlos Edge, that's when he went
the first pit stop, just in case to the end of the 53 laps race. So on Mercedes, they initially thought that
Leclerc yet at the back,
and that maybe that being behind that
from Ferrari, no gap at the back. So
with your pit stop, not get stuck in that turbulent wake. Enjoying clean air.
yeah, we can push now, Max.
Trying to respond and just asking the question when the loosening of the range.
It's not the driver that feels he has inside the team.
Race could
Slide a bit more now, both axles, and fight later on, but he was and rear end.
and he is coming in. So pit stop now.
Will we
This might also be the back and the gap just in front, but now to get out,
and it looks like they're
because he was starting to lose time
a lap early.
Yeah, he's behind your investigation for leaving the track. The gap still about 1.5 seconds. Right, not just Red Bull, but Ferrari, Charles Leclerc. So the top three, a speedy stop, and that looked Verstappen when he was stationary. Oh, and it's seconds! Did Norris on Verstappen for him? Fortunately, it for him, Jacques. I don't think we caught the full.
So got to be careful with
his career. The young rookie lead with Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. 1.5 seconds between Verstappen. He's with Piastri's fault, but Ferrari and McLaren. So the top three on the road, as it were. Oh, but that looked a little bit. Oh, and there's Norris onto the grass. Did Norris on Verstappen in the pit stop? Fortunately, for his sake, we caught the full bit. But were they?
Be careful with those situations.
Leads the race from McLaren at the end of the pit. Oh no, same line here doesn't.
As you are.
He didn't do anything, but ultimately Norris should not have been.
It was safety. We'll see if the stewards behind, as a Piastri should say, Verstappen, and I think those messages.
Yeah, but you can't ask Max.
Yeah, exactly, because Max couldn't go left. Lando blended out like he should have done.
How can he tell from there?
Let's get it. No, that's just the release. Second in that pit stop. I was watching it, all it took for Norris suddenly to be on him.
Release, Jack, because Lappin forced him onto the grass either.
And if there's another car in the fast lane, that's a...
Well, definitely is the most exciting thing we've had in this when he pitted. Yuki Tsunoda
is that there was no gain. very rare.
I get what you're saying. And he
That's a lot of
even
maybes.
more time. 10th, behind Fernando Alonso. Leads Lewis Hamilton. Wow. And then Isaac Hadjar. The chicane we go. Which way is there? But with DRS makes way and Russell moves into
Traffic. It didn't pay off. Drivers, you have two in the front if you want to actually.
Pits 2. And to that incident involving Verstappen and not Alex Albon did.
Berman has pitted.
Got all the data to hand as to where the gun is not coming soon enough. Is that not only are they still behind Lando Norris, about a 10th past Red Bull is a bit of a different and Norris for that pit lane incident.
They lost two and a half seconds.
Kravitz. So Isaac Albon might not have liked. I just wonder, is it going to help him of Isaac Hadjar?
Not really worked for anyone.
Correct. Ocon or Bortoletti.
Racing Lewis Hamilton again in that this fight with Hadjar versus hard tyre. He's reported that he's still back to Bono, saying that he's happy
in preserving those tyres in prime position.
Okay, Lando, there's job than he is.
Teams so far, well, Hamilton and Norris on new hard. That's what
Relegated team. While here comes Alex Albon, who led Bortoletti, the rookie, in when they pitted. And currently now finds himself to what it was, and then another 1.4 seconds. And no doubt, this is another.
And, well, Hamilton's just picking up the
Yeah, it does seem
very used ones, and they still have pace.
ending incident, but the stewards have decided that there's no further investment. Gaining an advantage, and he's under pressure. Stopped a few Ocon in the Haas.
Very late move from Ocon. A little bit.
And still Isaac Hadjar, net race leader here, because the cars are trying to get affected a little bit by those problems during the course of this race. Left of the track on older tyres, medium tyres, but knew he had the pace.
Which was the risk, but as we see behind.
Prove there that issue problems of yesterday, Albon, because his fight today moves himself up into that is a lockup that will do Max Verstappen of Hamilton as soon as he could, second behind Lando Norris.
Lewis Hamilton, so he'll clear for Hamilton. They waited as long as they could. Antonelli has outlasted
the lead on lap 22. We're on than Antonelli on the last, came into the pits and got back out.
Big gap over Lewis Hamilton, so
The rear of Lewis Hamilton. Another on a completely different strategy. Finally, through goes Norris, through goes Piastri. Where is Antonelli? Back in the 6th place where he was before.
okay, that tyre can warm up enough. Doesn't gain any time, even loses.
Now that Antonelli's pitted for a little bit, because Norris has had a slower pit stop. Liam Lawson in the racing tyres. Through goes out there Haas.
Anymore, Norris is enough that Verstappen knows he cannot go.
That is true. 3 seconds separating.
Watch out for Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz put on the soft tyres
And
and tyres, but you might just want to double check that, and that's going to make them quick with Lance Stroll, even though
Antonelli too. And that's look at Ollie Behrman. Oh, just at the back.
That was going too close because at least side by side with the other driver.
Senna would have said the move was on there into the
Your front wheels had to be by the other.
Grand Prix, and if you just wait pole, he headed the field at the same time. Charles Leclerc as well, side by side. Norris had to take that too. And that is about as clapped now, and Verstappen is allowed teammate in third.
But was that a message?
I'm sure it would. McLaren, who saved it where he started, George Russell, although he's starting to actually move ahead of Albon and Behrman. And Verstappen, though, it's going to be cat and mouse.
Okay, but how much? Yeah. You know.
Because he's now on the mediums and the hard tyre was
Concentrate on. It's always good to know.
Oscar Piastri is going to be free to race here and free to no rules. Don't take each other out.
Correct. But look at it. Norris is extra pace.
Formula One at a permanent racetrack are the only times that we've ever had that is a stat that I've...
Well, in general with these cars now, and because Max is absolutely equal, 3-1-7. Verstappen running out of laps. Really, Crofty, they're not great. He's on Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin.
Yeah, Ollie better racetrack. I was talking to Io earlier, and the disappointment there. And to it, and I'm really proud of the team.
+1.
Yes, you
Either an issue at the end of braking into the chicane. A very nice exchange.
I know why we're doing it here. In a few races' time, we'll go down very, very nice.
And imagine in 3 races, and now
A super job in qualifying.
Incorrect. Adjust at the stop.
We front wing flat.
front wing flat. And Norris had a message saying that his tires were fine.
In a couple of laps' time, and guess quite sure what Piastri's going to say about his.
Asking a lot from his tires now, and
Norris, and then charge after Max Verstappen. I tell you what, he is
getting closer down the straight with the toe close enough.
And once again, after on Max.
That would be surprising.
Well, that's true. Lando Norris. But he himself says he's not even thinking about the championship lead in 97. It could be a year. Jacques Villeneuve, where the pits has not been the most exciting. I've just picked up the pace a little bit in this.
The races have been a bit more difficult.
Tyres was necessarily, the rain hasn't come. It's grey, still about a 1/10 of a second. It'll be long enough for him to get level.
He loses a little bit through all the S's.
I'm under late braking, taking it, and there's nowhere I can really gain.
If I do make a mistake, he will overtake me.
Intentionally building himself a little bit of a gap so that he can mount an attack later on the age of tyre. They've been in this situation close.
Piastri to put that pressure on. Hey, Shaq, you first. Okay.
Too close, save his tires, but he'll pace right now. But will he have
A bit of calm, you'll find time to the end now.
More in reserve right now. They can be clever with strategy. That they started this race with today is that the cars behind Brown. But yeah, it's cars.
By lap from Charles Leclerc, in lapping about the same times as 5 seconds, and he's quicker as well. So the Ferrari, as the hard tyres were the points again, and Ollie Behrman holding lap times to try and make an impression. And as we go down the straight again, Norris just picked up the pace here, and he's got the gap down to now
of the race right now. Work hard at it for 10 laps of the lap. Well played.
Yeah, well, Pierre.
Yeah. Hope that they will do us.
Your teammate is ahead of you. In team Norris continuing to kick into action onto out of Spoon Curve we come in his Red Bull, and look at that. There's going to be some lapping going on. It's under 1.4 seconds. So it's another 10.
Here, I was hoping Stroll would wait for that one.
The Lando Norris fans pit stops. Now they're trying.
Should have arrived here with a front row home.
Team that got its 50th to pick up a win. They haven't had the end of last year. They won in Australia. Is currently running in 3rd place. Norris range. Piastri is whole lap. He's back in DRS range. It was 1.3 seconds. They need 2 or 3 tenths a lap.
Here, a couple of tenths.
Right, left of Max Verstappen as Kimi out ahead of him in 5th through the hairpin. Completes another paradise as far as Suzuka Grand Prix. He's taken
Small, he cannot lose any focus.
second gap. I mean, for Suzuka, last 5 Japanese Grand Prix have all been covered by 2 seconds. As how Max Verstappen's tyres are in that Pirelli rubber to use with pretty much a lot of performance juice left. Charles Leclerc in 4th. The gap now 11th under braking. Piastri under brake. Yeah, and he's a bit more right. Just a touch. It's on the grid.
And you
We can also see that Lando is
He has been, as Carlos Sainz get made down the main straight.
advantage.
That's why I've got you alongside.
Well, it's not giving up at all.
No, not all the time. Yes,
He
did
went
get
to Williams to get points.
disqualifications, and for Pierre Gasly. That's back straight. Watch the gap between him. Charges battery because he gave the electric.
They don't have the same power on every lap, and also he
That will keep him in touch just that little bit. Happening. Max Verstappen. Sure, you'll probably be asking them along with Simon. An engineer of a one.
or maybe listen to.
I think they've got our commentary on today. We're on lap 50. Max Verstappen out in front at the moment because the car's not quite there. Magnificent in qualifying yesterday.
To a situation where he could drive it, managed to trim it, to take some wing off to be.
It is, and he doing so while has put another 4 on the last lap as well. And we've been talking slipstream and DRS advantage. Look, he's trying to go around the outside, do it to 14th spot.
Science.
Right.
No, doing it's just it's not bad.
Right, so debut in F1 falling here. Max Verstappen has got this 2019 on a track
That's super important. You see which driver. What I found surprising is how Norris.
Thought on this one, Crofty, you look at someone like Ards, just like everybody else, and he's closing in on George Russell. It's worked. I just don't understand. Should have used the potential on this track.
Yeah.
It has been all have free air today.
It is worth 2, 3, maybe 4 tenths. Now start the final lap. Max was
I mean, I hear what Anthony's saying, but this you get out qualified by Max Verstappen. Mistake, the lost opportunity.
For drive by Max in what is the last power unit that's inspired the Red Bull, as it is for Red Bull here in Suzuka.
But it's a win, and that's what matters.
Honda that's won in Formula One. They went into this for the team, and Max Verstappen here at Suzuka. What a performance! McLaren have to settle for second drivers now, but I think Max Verstappen difference.
A masterful lap worthy of Formula One pole position for the drivers' champion of the world with a lap to save.